the Italian Gambit or Rosentratter, as the title says. And this will be great for attacking players and even for positional players. And if you like to play endgames, yeah, why not? You can play this against every kind of opponents. So let's jump to our video. And when we talk about the Italian Gambit, first we need to evaluate what are the profile of the player. Yeah, this is a good opening for crazy guys like me. If you like to attack and if you don't have any problems to exchange material and to play for a superior endgame, yeah, you can play the Italian Gambit. And in my opinion, this will be very interesting to be played against all kinds of opponents, and you just can play against bishop c5. So here you have several kinds of approaches. You can play, for example, this is another one, we will talk about that on another video. This is the Evans Gambit. We have several different crazy lines on the Italian, but today we will be talking about this move, d4. And the idea is to create pressure on the center since the beginning of the game. And here, as you're seeing, we have two columns below. And yeah, the first column just has two percentages. Why is that? This is because this is the column of the chess space. And on real life games, on games over the board, they just play e takes d4 or bishop takes d4. In my database, I don't have more. So the best players, they choose between one of these two moves. But we will see today that it's possible to take with the knight, and you will not have any problems if you play correctly. Of course, no one plays correctly. you need to evaluate with a good engine because it's sharp, it's too complicated. So on the second column, we have the opening tree, so evaluations, so percentages, and the opening tree includes several online games. So for this reason, we have blunders like knight f6 and d6, so this is terrible. It doesn't make any sense at all to talk about that, but I will talk because I want you to have everything. And in the end of this video, you will have a master level on this opening. So please stay until the end because you will evolve a lot on this video. So, okay, the first line is the line with e takes c4. So this line is interesting because by transposition, you will fall into the Scottish Gambit and the lines where you give up the central pawn and you have potential to attack. So here, I will defend the idea of playing c3. Why is that? Simple. Every day I play this kind of stuff, so I'm not talking about lines that I know the theory and I don't play. I play all this stuff. If you want to see, you can always follow me on chess.com. My nick is dark_attack. I'm not Nakamura or I don't know, Firuza, but I have normally more than 2400 of rating. So between 24 and 2500 on Blitz. I play normally 3 without increment. So here the idea is after pawn takes, bishop sacks, and after king takes, we will attack king and bishop. Here important. On the other videos on YouTube, they will finish saying, oh, white is better, but I will show you why white is better in this position. The idea is quite simple. Here, after normally everyone plays king to e8 when they play this line, because king here you can take, and you will give another check. So the idea is after king plays here, we will give another check because we want to force g6. After queen takes, Here, I believe this move will lose with violence, but we need to see, because after pawn takes, bishop takes, knight f6, to prevent losing the rook on h8. And here I will suggest e3, queen to e3. Why is that? Because after d6 castle, and it looks like you're losing by 1 point, but the positional play is much superior for white. Why is that? Because after, for example, bishop g4 to try to exchange material, you have the direct advancing of the pawn. This is too strong because the king is on the center. This king cannot castle, and black has a lot of difficult decisions to make, because after, for example, pawn takes, we can continue with knight takes, and the queen cannot play here because queen on e7 is too ugly, because knight takes, queen takes, for example, and we will take with the f pawn. Why is that? Because after pawn takes, we will win material. We have a lot of potential, and yes, we will win material. So this is one line, but the idea, I want you to memorize this idea, because this is very important, because I have several students that already failed on this line. The idea is just to play the queen to e3. For example, even d6. Yeah, we will play again queen to d6. You can take with any problems, but I like this a lot, because you want black to take your pawn to create pressure on h8. Here, I believe nobody will play that, but the computers like this kind of stuff to force you to lose tempos. But here, yeah, you can even play knight to a3, but I will defend knight c3, because this pawn will fall, and you don't need to worry to take the pawn, because this pawn is too weak. So you don't need to lose tempos. You will continue the game, and in the end, when the game is more quiet, you will take the pawn with any problems. Okay? Oh, but the knight can play here. Yeah, no problem at all. You can always advance his e5, and you will be attacking the black's king. So about this first line, okay, I think it's well seen. Now, a second line needs to be seen on this variation. Instead of taking the pawn on c3, black can advance c3. I've already played with a few international masters and feed masters, and they played d3. Here, I will suggest a line that isn't very common, but it's very, very, very interesting. We will start the attack on the queen side. So first b4 and then a4. I'm supposing that the bishop will go to b6, because for me it doesn't make any sense to play bishop to e7, because after that queen b3 will attack with everything the square on f3. Don't forget, we have always ideas of playing queen to b3 if black doesn't have moves like queen to e7. So after this, we will continue with a4, and yeah, everyone will play a6. And here, I like a lot the move queen b3. This isn't the best approach according to the computers, but it's so enjoyable for white. Why is that? Because we are creating pressure on the f7 square, and later we will advance a5 and b5. See, here, black just have this answer, because, for example, queen to f6, we have a bishop to g, and we are developing pieces with gains of tempos, so here it's important to play queen to e7. If black plays something different, you're already won. That's the beauty of playing a gambit. Sorry, I'm recovering from a flu. That's the reason I haven't made any video on the last days. So here, after queen to e7, of course, we will continue with castle king set. Here, important, the queen cannot take, because we have two variants. Rook to e1, for me, it's probably the best one. But even bishop takes on f7, it's interesting too. So you will have here easy victory if the queen takes, because you win material because the knight is protecting. So here I'm supposing that black will continue with d6, and here we will continue first with a5 and then with b5. Very interesting. And here it's important to see that after pawn takes, we will take with the queen. And our idea is to create pressure on b7. Why is that interesting? Because if pawn takes, we will take the knight, we will be attacking the king and the rook, we will win material. According to the computers, this position is completely equal. So for this reason, if you want, you can play this kind of stuff with black. I don't recommend, because it's too complicated. But the thing is that this will happen on your games. I've already won very strong players playing with that, even players with 2800. So they will play this kind of stuff. And here I'm supposing that black will continue with knight to f6, and after that we will continue with a6. The idea is always to play on the queen side on this variation. So after, of course, the pawn cannot take, or else the knight will fall. And here I'm supposing, because of my experience, most players will continue with rook to f8. And here is the tricky part, because, well, talking about material, we are losing by 1 point, but the potential is unlimited. We have a lot of potential. Black has the king on the center, and we don't want to let this king to castle easily. So for this reason, I will suggest to play this move, or even you can try out to play pawn takes. But in my opinion, the central attack has always potential. Why is that? Because we have potential to play bishop to a3. So, for example, here knight will go back, but imagine if pawn takes, we can first take this, or even if you want, you can play directly bishop to a3. But the idea is pawn takes, if rook takes, we take the knight, so bishop is mandatory. And now, if you want, you can take the bishop, and then you will have bishop to a3. So this position is completely won for white. So for this reason, of course, this knight will need to go back. And after that, we will take, and again, because of this attack, black will continue with queen takes. After that, this position is, for me, is completely won for white, because we have the check, and this will lead to a very easy victory. Don't forget, you don't want to let the king castle. So for this reason, queen g5, and this guy cannot go anywhere, or else you're going to take the knight. And you're creating pressure on this g7, and if the pawn advances, of course, this is bad. And if the pawn advances, here we will continue creating pressure on the king side right now. And are you seeing, we haven't taken the pawn. So you can play queen here, queen over there. So this is very enjoyable for white. My suggestion is to continue like that. And after that, well, black will fall with everything. Even with bishop, you have rook to a8. So this is too easy for white. So we are seeing this with a lot of detail, because I want you to reach master level playing this gambit. So we are seeing the pawn takes, and we've seen the variation of pawn takes and pawn advances. In my opinion, these are the most probable continuations for black. Now, let's jump to our next variation. So the second variation is with bishop takes, and this one, it's tricky too, so you need to be careful, because if you fail, black will be better. First part, you want to exchange the knight for the bishop, and this will lead to a good exchange for you, because normally the knights are weaker than the bishops, because the bishops has, in my opinion, unlimited moves they can play unlimited squares, and the knight just plays 3 squares on the letter L. So here we have two different approaches, pawn takes or knight takes. So if pawn takes, here this will lead to a position where black has a very interesting position for the pawn. So first we will castle, and after, for example, d6, because, well, knight f6 is difficult because we can sack and play rook and then f4 and we will win material. So because of that, d6, in my opinion, will happen a lot. And after that, I suggest not to play c3, because c3 historically, sorry, the accent is terrible. Historically, okay, now I think it's well. White loses a lot of games with c3. I will suggest to creating pressure on c6. And why is that interesting for white? Simple. You will recover material and you will win the control of the center. For example, after knight to f6, queen takes, and the knight cannot take because he's pinned. So here I enjoy more the position for white than for black. Of course, the game is long, we have several plans, and later on another video we will analyze this deeply. Each of these lines on different videos, so I think it will be interesting to complement this video. So this line is interesting. Another line that we need to see is what if black plays queen to f6 to try to prevent the loss of the pawn? Well, here we will continue with c3, but the difference is that because of the fact that the queen is on f6, we already have potential to play knight to d5 and we will win a tempo. So because of that, I suggest this approach, because in my opinion, white doesn't have any problem at all, because we are winning on the positional play, and yes, we are losing by 1 point, but the king is still on the center, our king is already protected, so this will be always easier to play for white. So talking about the other variant, instead of taking with the pawn, black can take with the knight, and here I will suggest a completely mad variation, but it's interesting. First we will play bishop to e3, and the computers like this move, and after knight plays to c6, I will suggest queen to g4, and queen g4, it's so interesting. Why is that? Because we are creating pressure on the pawn of g7. So for example, if black plays directly d5, of course, here you don't need to be afraid, because queen takes, and after, this is the only move, because of course, if you take, you're going to lose the rook. And after queen plays to f6, the position is equal, but we are winning by 1 point for now. So again, after knight plays to b4, in my opinion, we will need to play bishop to b3 to prevent this this maneuver. And after knight takes, probably bishop g5, and okay, this will lead to an equal position. But again, if you like to play endgames, you don't need to be afraid, because you have a superior endgame because of your pawn structure. So you have 2 islands. This is the first, this is the second, sorry. And black has 1, 2, 3. So more islands is worse for black. We will talk about that on another video. So about endgames. So because of this reason, this will be easier to play for white. Of course, if black plays well, yeah, the game will finish on a draw. So talking about this line, this is very interesting, but we have another continuation, because, for example, here black can try to play first queen to f6, and this, according to the computers, this is the best move for black, and I will suggest knight to c3. And again, this is so beautiful, this position. I like a lot. Because here, according to the computers, black needs to play d6. But in my opinion, a lot of players will continue with d5. And our continuation will be beautiful. If you want, you can put on pause, because this is related to tactical moves. So the idea is that the bishop is attacking the queen, and the pawn is attacking the bishop. This pawn is attacking the pawn. So it seems that we will lose the material, but no, this is an illusion. We are winning. White is slightly better, not a big thing, but it's slightly better. So we will do a prophylactic move. We will play queen to g3. Why is that good? Because if pawn takes bishop, we have a very strong move, knight to d5. Why is that good? Because the knight is trying to take on c7, and at the same time, the queen is threatening to take on g7. Because of that, this guy just has one piece protecting two attack squares. And they are one on the king side and the other on the queen side. So it isn't possible to protect both. So because of that, white is winning on this position. So this trick is amazing, because most players will fall into this, because you need to analyze with computers to know that, in my opinion. But well, okay, talking about the lines with bishop takes, I think we've talked about the most played variations. Now let's jump to knight takes d4. So this is, in my opinion, the last serious variation that can happen, because d6 and knight f6, well, we will see in one minute, because for me it doesn't make any sense at all to talk about that. But I don't know the reason, but most players, I don't know, more than 100,000, yeah, players. So a lot of players have made these moves, d6 and knight f6. So okay, let's go to our third variation. So knight takes on d4. Again, when we play against humans. And the humans normally lose when they play this stuff. Why is that? Because, of course, we don't want to take the knight. We want to take the pawn. To take this pawn is always interesting, because we are threatening to enter with the knight on f7. With the knight or with the bishop, of course. If black lets us to enter with the knight, we are going to take on f7, and we will win the game easily. But the thing is that, okay, here, in my opinion, this is so interesting, because analyzing with opening tree, seeing the results of online games, do you know what is the most played move by black? Here, almost 15,000 players has made this blunder. It's the most made move. And this loses quickly, because, of course, bishop takes, and if this pawn takes, queen takes, king takes, and we will win the rook. And on the other variation, if the pawn takes, we have queen to h5. And, of course, if the pawn advances, knight takes, pawn takes, and queen takes rook. And even if knight plays to f6, you just can take the bishop and you're winning by one clean point. And this king is completely unprotected. So this guy will not go anywhere. So this wins. And most players play knight to d6. I don't understand how it's possible. But yeah, this happens. And talking about alternatives. Well, d5 happens a lot too. And of course, we will take with the bishop. And normally they play bishop to e6. And most players fail, because white normally takes the bishop. But this isn't good. I will suggest a new variant, and interesting too. We will play not this, but c3. Why is that? Because after bishop takes bishop, we will take the knight, and the thing is that we are attacking at the same time two bishops. So after bishop takes queen check, why is that? Because if pawn takes, the queen will take and our king will be at the center. So we first will play that, and of course if this bishop plays here, we take with the knight, and if the pawn advances, we will take. After bishop takes, rook to g1, and this position is completely won for white. Of course it's tricky, you need to be careful, but you're winning by 2 full points on material, and we have 1 more point on positional play. So you're winning on development, you're threatening to take on g7, and you will develop with any problems. So let's go back. And talking about d5, okay, d5 is a problem too, but it's possible to play for equality with black. I haven't seen any game with this move, but it's very interesting, and I will enjoy a lot to analyze this deeply on another video, because here black can play queen to e7. Queen to e7 is very interesting because the idea is quite simple. If the knight takes, okay, the queen can take on e4, and this will be terrible because our king will be completely exposed. Because of that, I will suggest for now, just to take with the bishop. I've never met anyone that answered queen to e7 playing against me. So probably after this video, I don't know, the channel is small, but maybe someone will play that. Talking about that, did you know that almost 87% of the viewers isn't subscribed? I need your help to continue growing the channel. So our goal is to help you to improve your level, and to do this you just need to subscribe. So it's free, it's easy, you have the button over there, you know, with fireworks, all the stuff. And yeah, I've been sick on the last week, but we do content every day. So I will do some shorts this week to compensate everyone, and don't forget, any suggestion, any critiques, you can always talk with me, and I'm always looking for new stuff. If you, for example, if you know a player of your country that you think deserves to be talked here on the channel, please tell me something. So let's continue. So talking about this variation, well, my suggestion is just to take first with the bishop, and I think this is interesting, but it isn't easy. In my opinion, this variation is the most difficult to play for white. Why is that? Because our king's security will be compromised. Because after king plays to f8, here we will need to take the knight. And okay, this is complicated because, of course, here the king can take, but I think the most defying way of playing that is taking the knight. Because, well, black has 3 centered pieces and are attacking the pawn on e4 with the queen. So because of that, we will need to push the bishop to d5, and after c6, we will play in the limit with c3. The idea is that we can't defend so many pieces. So after pawn takes, in my opinion, queen takes, it's probably the best approach for white, and we will need to play bishop to e3. After queen takes on g2, black is winning by 1 point, but according to the computers, the position is equal because of this move. Yeah, for my level, this position isn't easy. So it is scary for white, of course, but the thing is that we are losing by 1 point, and of course those 2 pawns, this pawn on d5 isn't good, and the bishop on c8 isn't good too. So I think probably bishop will go to b4, and after knight c3, in my opinion, this is a double-edged game. Black has some arguments and white has arguments too. The thing is that, talking about the pawn structure, we have 1 Ireland, 2, 3, 4 pawn Irelands. So, and black has 3. 1, 2, 3. So we are losing by 1 point, we are winning on the development, but we are losing on the pawn structure. So because of that, you need to be careful with this variant, because if if black plays like that, first, if this game happens on the internet, you can always report because I don't know, everyone is talking about cheating nowadays. And next, yeah, we need to work out these plans. I want to know your opinion about this variation. What do you think will be the plan for white? Because I'm thinking about the plans, because I never played this position, so it looks complicated. So about the variant with knight takes d4, we've already talked about this. So now let's jump to the 2 last lines. So yeah, d6 and knight f6. d6 and knight f6. These are blunders. I don't I don't understand why they play that. And the rating is superior of 1800. I don't know. I don't understand. But well, here the first variant is d6. Misclick? Probably, because we can take the bishop. On the 2 variants, we can take the bishop. But I will suggest a quick continuation. Because, of course, if pawn takes, you will exchange the queen. Easy stuff. And, yeah, I will suggest a Maroczy structure, because black will want to advance d, and if you play c, black doesn't have nothing. So I think I don't need to talk more about that. So this is a blunder. d6 is a blunder. And talking about the last variant is the blunder too. So I don't know why they play that, but okay, I need to talk about the most used lines. So here, knight f6, we take again. Okay, this one probably is slightly better than the last one, but it's a blunder too. So here, for example, after knight takes, we can continue with queen d5. We are threatening to take the knight, we are threatening to take on f7, so I'm not seeing nothing here, so probably the game will finish after that. I think even because knight g5 we take with the bishop and we will win quickly the game. So in my opinion, this is very easy to win. So because of that, yeah, I think d6 and knight f6, you just need to take the bishop, and the rest is history. So I think this is easy stuff. So with that, we finished our video. Don't go yet. Don't forget, if you're enjoying the content, you can always like. And I think you will like to continue seeing the gambits we have here on the channel. So they are over there. And I'm certain that you don't know all the gambits that we talk here, because here we are always one step ahead from the other channels and from the other players. So if you have a suggestion about an unknown or unsounded gambit, please tell me something, because I want to talk about that. Oh, I will talk on the next days about the elephant gambit. So I think you're going to enjoy. Stay tuned, and till tomorrow. Tomorrow we will be here again to talk a little bit more about chess. Have a good night. Till tomorrow.